Councillors, 10 seconds to starting the streaming now.
Welcome everyone to the Ordinary Council meeting of the Wellington Shire for the 3rd of September 2024. Members of the public gallery should note that Council records and publishes Council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of Council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on Council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate times during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the Council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the Council meeting but who wish to communicate with the Council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could gallery visitors, councillors and invited online attendees ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode during the duration of the meeting. Wellington Shire Council acknowledges our offices are located on the traditional lands of the Gunai-Kurnai Nation. We pay our deep respects to the elders past, present and future and acknowledge their ongoing cultural and spiritual connections to their land and waters. Before I go further, and we have one apology with Councillor Crosley, can I just check that Councillor Stevens, can you see and hear us?
Yes, I can see and hear you, Mayor.
And Councillor Tatterson, can you see and hear us?
Yes, Mayor, I can see and hear you.
Thank you. Item 3, declaration of conflicts of interest. Do we have any? Councillor Marr.
I have a declaration, a conflict of interest for the confidential item at 15.3. As per section 127 of the Local Government Act 2020, it's a general conflict.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Do we have any other conflicts?
Yes, Mayor, I have a conflict in relation to item 13.2, the community grants, assistant grants, and that is also a general conflict of interest under section 127.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Is there any other declarations of conflicts? No? Thank you. Item 3.1, adoption of minutes of previous council meetings. Under that, Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the Ordinary Council meeting of the 20th of August 2024.
And seconded by Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that, Councillor Wood?
Thank you, Mayor.
Item 4, business arising from previous meetings, we have none. Item 5, acceptance of late or urgent items, we have none. Item 6, notice of motion. Do we have someone to move the notice of motion? Councillor Mackenzie. Microphone, yes.
Round 2. Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move that Council 1 not accept Committee of Management responsibilities for any further Crown land or buildings without the matter being formally considered by Council. Through this process, consideration will be given to A, the most appropriate agency or group to manage the asset on behalf of the Crown, B, the community benefit and the rationale for the need to assume management of the asset, C, a qualified assessment of the overall condition of the asset, D, the anticipated financial impact, including required capital investment and ongoing operational expenditure, E, the identification of existing underutilised Crown assets where Council is the Committee of Management that may be considered to be returned to the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, known as DECA, and F, any other arrangements such as direct leases or licences with other entities that may be of more appropriate mechanism to manage assets in certain circumstances. Point 2, seek to negotiate future asset management arrangements to expressly include a shared cost commitment between the Crown and Council for major maintenance items such as roof replacements and structural items, as these should be reasonably contributed to by the Crown as owners of the building, and major works will be conducted by Council without an agreed shared costing agreement in place. Point 3, submit a motion to the Municipal Association of Victoria, known as MAV, State Council requesting that the MAV make representation of the State Government and request that a review be undertaken of all State Government assets managed by both local council and community-based committees with a view to the State Government providing an annual fund to support both maintenance and capital works for assets that are fundamentally owned by the State. In submitting the motion to the MAV State Council, provision is made for the Council CEO to authorise any minor changes to improve the wording of the motion and/or update the motion relative to any changes to the issue that may have occurred between this Council meeting and the day of the lodgement with the MAV. Point 4, advocate to the Victorian Government and the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action to have a Crown Assets Infrastructure Renewal Fund established to support local governments in a shared responsibility for the renewal of deteriorating Crown assets. Point 5, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to write to all fellow CEOs within Gippsland advising them of this decision, Victoria's public land managers, primarily the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, and Parks Victoria to inform them of Council's position. Thank you, Mayor.
And seconded by?
I'm prepared to second it, Mayor.
By Councillor Stevens. Is that opposed?
Yep.
That means you're seconding, not opposing it. Thank you, Councillor Stevens.
I'm seconding it, yes.
Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried.
Thank you, Mayor. As we just heard, the notice of motion has a lot to unpack, and to assist our wider community, I'd like to provide some data. Wellington Shire is the third largest council in Victoria. Wellington Shire has an area of 10,817,000 kilometres, of which close to 3,000 kilometres is the responsibility of council to maintain. Wellington Shire supports 30 different and diverse communities, and Wellington Shire's population as of 2023 stood at 46,124. So let's compare Wellington to a metropolitan council, such as the City of Kingston. Kingston's area of responsibility is 91 kilometres. Supports 22 suburbs that are all similar in nature. Population as of 2023 stood at 163,724. So it's easy to see that regional councils require a much larger part of the grants pie than that of our metropolitan councils, purely based on size, community spread, and the large amount of assets to be managed. Currently, council are the Committee of Management for 30 Crown-owned properties, with a further 33 Crown-owned assets managed by Minister-appointed Committee of Management. Over the past few years, council has invested $13 million in capital improvements, either via grants or council funds. As well as council being required to manage Crown-owned assets, council has over 100 of their own building assets, which is required to be managed to the expectation of the community with a value of in excess of $268 million. With council's community facilities project list, as of June 28, applies both the significant capex along with repairs and maintenance, the amount is a staggering $70 million, of which council would require significant grant funding, as a large portion of the $70 million relates to Crown land assets. Over the past 20 years, consecutive state governments have walked away from providing ongoing funding to councils to keep state assets in a condition that the community expects, and councils throughout Victoria have had no choice but to foot the bill. However, in recent times, many councils have now said enough is enough, and that unless they receive funding to activate the repair or capex, councils are now reverting the asset back to the state, and the community in turn suffers, all because the state wishes to relinquish its responsibility. Today we're in a cost of living crisis. Councils are operating on a rate cap that is well below current CPI and struggling to meet community expectations, while the state government spend and lose billions of dollars on projects just geared to Melbourne. And as a regional council, Wellington is struggling to continue to maintain funding on Crown land assets. There is a clear imbalance, and if the state government is not challenged, nothing will change. Councils across Victoria need to see some of that lost billions to maintain Crown assets. Wellington Shire should first and foremost always place council assets at the front of all maintenance and major improvements ahead of state-owned assets, as this is what our community would expect, and it is both frustrating, disappointing and disheartening to visit so many council assets that are in major disrepair, and then having the Volunteer Committee of Management being informed that at this time council does not have the works or monies as a priority. In the notice of motion, I'm asking that we write to the state to advise the council that are not only no longer able to fund capex or repairs to Crown assets unless there is an agreed co-funding model, but also take the opportunity to suggest and recommend the return of the Crown Assets Infrastructure Renewable Fund that will provide all councils with ongoing funding to maintain Crown assets. By the state reinitiating the Crown Assets Renewable Fund, I could see that all current Crown assets would be returned to the expectations of all communities across Victoria within 10 years. The community of Victoria deserves this. To my fellow councillors, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to put forward my notice of motion and for your support. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Item 7.1, outstanding petitions, we have none. Item 8, invite addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. Do we have any? Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, there's been a lot of gold medals Australia are winning at the moment. I'd like to, a different, not a sport, is Maffra Cheese have won 2 gold medals. Their flagship cloth-aged cheddar took out gold, as well as their farmhouse brie, and their vintage cheddar snuck in a cheeky bronze. Now, this was overseas in the UK. The passion for their cheese making earned 2 gold medals and a bronze medal at the International Cheese and Dairy Award in the UK. So congratulations to Maffra Cheese. Another award was the Dairy Berry. Congratulations for the 2024 Tourism Award, the Dairy Berry, an innovative tourism business, were committed and passion and delivered great growth and success in their first year, noting 2 floods with their strawberries out there. So they've done very well to win the award for this year. As they've said, they had multiple challenges. So congratulations to the Dairy Berry. And it keeps happening in the Northern Ward. It keeps happening. That's the Northern Ward. The Federation University Gippsland Business Awards, Performance Successive Achievement. The winner for hospitality is the Vines. Congratulations to them. Last but not least, we're moving up into the high country in the Northern Ward. The Lacola Caravan Park and General Store have won the Victorian Parks Workplace Excellence Award for 2024. So congratulations to the Lacola General Store and Caravan Park. And now the next one is on the Winter Melodies, the Maffra Municipal Band. Pre-COVID, I've been told, they had 12 members. 12. On Sunday the 25th of August at the Wedge, 125 performed in the stage band, the Eukstra, ukuleles, a choir, string orchestra, intermediate and senior concert bands, and it was an absolutely fantastic, very professional, and it was well patronised. So congratulations to the Municipal Maffra Band, who after COVID have been able to get together 150 people in their band. So thank you, Mayor and Councillors.
Do we have any other invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements? No, I have a few. Wellington Shire, we just don't have the Northern Ward. We have lots of wards and we don't really concentrate on wards when we're one council, and we have so many great businesses that are actually across the whole of the Wellington Shire. I attended just last week the Gippsland Business Awards, and it's interesting when we look at the whole of the Shire, what great businesses we actually have that were put forward by the community for these awards. We had finalists in the manufacturing, GBG Concrete and Construction, which are based in Sale, which have been a long-established since 1954 business. And we have PAV, Fab Engineering and Fabrication, which are a great little business that are really going well with their steel product, which is in Yarram. So they were finalists. They weren't successful, but congratulations to actually being nominated to be a finalist. In the that's not us, we'll go to the next one. There was many other businesses around Gippsland. Under the tourism and attractions, as Councillor Ripper just mentioned, the Berry Dairy were nominated as a finalist, and they actually took out that category. And as Councillor Rippert has said, it's amazing how they're diversified on their dairy farm. It's only in the season when the strawberries are around, but you can go out there and have an experience and take your children and actually pick the berries and then decide how you eat them or take them home. So a real credit, and they took out the #1 award at the Tourism Activities and Attractions. Accommodation, we had 2 nominees from Wellington, the M Hotel in York Street, which have done a great job in upgrading that motel, and Motel 3858, which is actually on the Traralgon Road in Heyfield. They were both nominated for that category as well. They weren't successful, but again, great effort by those businesses to get nominated. We had beauty and personal care. We had Blush Professional Beauty Touch, which is in Sale, was nominated for that section. They weren't successful, but congratulations again to that business for actually getting nominated and making the final, which is a huge effort. Under food and wine producers, we had Mafco Brewery and Distillery, which were nominated from Mafra. They actually took out that category. So congratulations to Mafco for getting nominated as well and actually winning the food and wine producers category. And then in hospitality, we had a couple of people that were nominated. The Quick Cuppa, which is in Heyfield, was nominated for that category, and the Vines on Adam were nominated and actually won the award. So congratulations to all the wonderful businesses around Gippsland, and particularly to the ones that got nominated and the ones that were successful. Congratulations to all of those businesses. Recently I was invited down to Yarram for the Yarram Tara branch for a celebration. Now this was quite a big celebration. I had to do a bit of research on what Red Cross and how it actually happened in Australia. International Red Cross actually started in 1863. When it was established in Australia, a branch of the British Red Cross was established in Australia in 1914. It was actually established 9 days after the start of World War I and was actually started by Lady Helen Munro Ferguson. It's interesting what would happen in this day and age. Lady Helen actually wrote to all the mayors at the time and municipalities in every shire asking if they could start a Red Cross in their area. Hundreds and even thousands of these Red Crosses were started back in 1914. There is only 18, I believe, that are left in the state that have lasted the full 110 years and are still going to this day. So it's a real credit to the Yarram Tara branch that have actually been operating for the whole 110 years, which is an amazing effort. And you look what Red Cross does for the community. As soon as there's an event, they are one of the first people there to care for our community. So congratulations to that hard-working committee at the Yarram Tara branch for what they do for the community, especially in times of need. 110 years is no mean feat to still be operating, so well done. I also attended recently on Friday the 23rd of August, one of my favourite events as the Mayor. Over at Mafra, we had the Gippsland International Winter Festival All-Breed Championship Dog Show. And if you love dogs, it's something you should put on your calendar to go over. An amazing committee has used the old cattle stalls over at the Mafra Rec Reserve, and quite amazing what they put on. They had over 1,600 entries over the 3 days this year, which is right up there with not quite a record, but right up there and bounced back well and truly from COVID. They bring judges in that are international judges from overseas to make sure they are fair to the entrants. And what a great event for the Wellington Shire. To see all those dogs over there, every sort of breed's there, and it is quite amazing how they actually put on that show. And they are very passionate about what they do. So definitely put on your calendar in August if you haven't been before. Have a wander around. They are all very friendly dogs, well trained of course. I couldn't take my little Harvey because he might bark a bit too much at the other dogs, so you can't take your own pet of course. But a great event to go and see, and again a hard-working committee that puts that together. And all these events also have volunteers, so a massive thank you to all the volunteers that help these events to actually be around and actually succeed. So thank you. Item 9, questions on notice, we have none. Item 10, delegates reports, I believe we have none. Item 11.1, Assembly of Council reports. Someone to move that, please.
I'm happy to move that. I move that Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor records for the period 12th of August to 25th of August 2024.
And seconded by Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Happy with that, Councillor Barr? Item 11.2, proposed special council meeting on the 18th of November 2024. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council call an unscheduled meeting of Council on Monday the 18th of November 2024 at 5 p.m. for the purpose of 1. Elected councillors take their oath or affirmation of office, and 2. The election and appointment of the Mayor and Deputy Mayor.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Council general elections are held every 4 years, with the next general election scheduled for Saturday the 26th of October 2024. The Victorian Electoral Commission have until the 15th of November 2024 to finalise and declare the results of the election. Councillors elected to the Wellington Shire Council are required to participate in an induction program commencing Monday, the 18th of November 2024. It is proposed that, in the evening, Council hold a meeting for the purpose of the councillors taking their oath or affirmation of office and electing and appointing the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. The act of councillors taking their oath or affirmation of office is a significant event, and it is proposed that extra time be set aside for an extra meeting to occur to separate this from the ordinary business of Council. Holding the official ceremony for the new councillors and the Mayor and Deputy Mayor in separate meeting of Council will ensure that Council business can continue at the ordinary meeting of Council on Tuesday, the 19th of November 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. And if I must say, I am not running, as everyone knows, for council again. I wish all the existing councillors good luck for the coming election, and all the new people that are out in the residents. Come forward if you are. I see there's a few in the gallery today that take notice of how a great council operates. Good luck to everyone that is running for the council elections. I certainly have enjoyed my last 8 years. Item 11.3. Section 181, acquisition. Someone to move that, please.
Yes, Mayor, I'm happy to do that.
Stevens.
Yes, I'd like to move the Council resolve to enact Section 181 of the Local Government Act 1989 and acquire the rateable property as listed in the attached confidential report to recover unpaid rates and charges. 2. Note that the information contained in the confidential attachment Section 181 acquisition of this Council meeting agenda was designated confidential by the General Managed Corporate Services on 25th of August 2024 because it contains confidential information as defined in Section 3, subsection 1 of the Local Government Act 2020, and for it's personal information being information which, if released, would result in the unreasonable disclosure of information about any person or their personal affairs. So moved, Mayor.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Go ahead, Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, this matter has been ongoing for some time. Unfortunately, the buildings on this particular property have become derelict. The building surveyor has been involved, and the council staff have attempted to contact the owner, who unfortunately their current whereabouts are unknown. So that this is, yes, not something that the council does lightly, but it will resolve a long outstanding problem, and the residents in the immediate area and the neighbours will be overjoyed that council's taking this action. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Item 11.4, appointment of independent audit and risk committee members. Someone to move that, please.
I'm happy to move that, Mayor. I move that Council 1 appoint one independent member to Council's Audit and Risk Committee for a period in accordance with its charter, commencing the 2nd of February 2025 and expiring 28th of October 2026, and B, one independent member to Council's Audit and Risk Committee for a 3-year period in accordance with its charter, commencing 29th of October 2024 and expiring 28th of October 2027, based on the recommendation in the attached confidential independent Audit and Risk Committee member 2024 evaluation report of this council meeting agenda. And 2, I'll take that as read. Thank you.
And seconded by Councillor Mackenzie. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to Councillor Marr, I'd like to announce that the appointment of Craig Nisbet for a 3-year term from the 29th of October 24 to the 28th of October 27, and that Tony Smith has been reappointed until the 28th of October 2026. Congratulations to both. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. The Audit and Risk Committee comprises of 2 councillors and 3 external independent members. A prerequisite is that the independent members have suitable knowledge, a good understanding of local government finance, governance and compliance, and strong risk management experience. And this experience enables independent input and oversight, as well as benefit of best practice learnings. Maximum term appointments are 3 years, with the current term appointments expiring on the 28th of October this year and the 1st of February 2025. The advertising was conducted during July to August, with a number of expressions of interest received. There was a great quality of candidates who applied, proving a really hard decision for the panel that interviewed, as all candidates were considered to be quite suitable for the job. I'd just like to say thank you to the outgoing members. Congratulations to Craig and Tony, but thank you to the outgoing member who is moving on. I'd just like to say that my time on the Audit and Risk Committee has been really great. There's been a lot of learnings from my fellow councillor and the independent members, and it's been a really good committee to actually sit on. And I'd also like to say thank you to the staff members that also sit on that committee, because it's been really a collegiate group of people, and I think it's worked really well. And well done to the chair for chairing such a successful committee. So thank you.
Well said, Councillor Marr. Item 11.5, update S6 instrument of delegation. Someone to move that, please.
Yes, Mayor, I'm happy to do that.
Councillor Stevens, go ahead.
I would like to move the Council, in the exercise of the powers conferred by the legislation referred to in the attached instrument of delegation, resolve that 1. To be delegated to the members of Council staff holding, acting in or performing the duties of the officers of positions referred to in the attached instrument of S6 instrument of delegation, members of Council staff, the powers, duties and functions set out in that instrument, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument as attached. 2. The S6 instrument of delegation, members of Council staff, comes into force immediately upon this resolution being made and is to be signed by the Council's Chief Executive Officer. Point 3. On the coming into force of the S6 instrument of delegation, members of Council staff, the current X6 instrument of delegation, members of Council staff, dated 20th of February 2024, is revoked. And 4. The duties and functions set out in the S6 instrument of delegation, members of Council staff, must be performed, and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that may from time to time adopt. That it may from time to time adopt. Yep.
Yep, and seconded by? Are you still talking, Councillor? He's finished now? And I kept going without sound. Seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This basically instrument of delegation is needed to be updated because of some changes to one of the acts that we delegate these powers under. It's fairly substantial, but is basically pretty much procedural to just keep the wheels of government going. And there's a huge number of sections and a number of acts that we delegate power under the oversight of the Chief Executive Officer. So that's about all I think we need to say.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Item 12.1, Place Names Committee meeting minutes. Someone to move that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move that Council 1 receive and note the attached minutes of the Place Names Committee meeting held on 13th of August 2024. 2, resolve that the section of George Street west of Boisdale Street, Maffra, be renamed Edward Street. And 1, a letter be sent to adjoining property owners and it be advertised that the section of George Street west of Boisdale Street, Maffra, be renamed Edward Street. And if no objections are received within 30 days, then the name be registered with Geographic Names Victoria. And 3, that Council endorses supporting the State Government's Remember a Local Name a Place campaign and for councils to promote the program to create broader local awareness.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried.
Thank you, councillors, for supporting the motion. A couple of notes out of there. Those who know George Street to the west of Boisdale Street, Maffra, will know that there's on one side of the street, the northern side of the street, it's all 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, etc. And they're quite large properties. The fact is now that there's a proposal to run a subdivision off Boisdale Street into that area, and the numbering just won't work. They'd have to have number 2A-1, 2B-3, it'd be nuts. The simplest way of dealing with it was simply to extend Edward Street around the corner and continue the numbering to go. All the people impacted directly have been spoken with, and while everyone likes to keep things the same, they understand the reasons and are generally supportive. So certainly if anyone has an objection, they should write in, but if you have a look on Google Maps and zoom in, you'll soon see why something needed to change. And I'd just like to mention, Mayor, about the Remember a Local Name a Place campaign. The State Government are running this. There's very little resource coming out of Council. In here, we've supported that our communications team will assist the creating broader local awareness. A lot of the campaign's focus is about having the community put forward names of significant people, and ideally people who haven't been recognised in the past. They're looking at women, those in minority groups, but I think it'll actually hopefully flush out a whole lot of names of people that we didn't recognise or don't recognise. While the committee itself is a very hard-working committee, we actually struggle to get people to support to bring up names and to bring up names of those who we can honour through naming a street or a place after them. And so I certainly encourage those in the community who are interested in history to start with, who actually know of names that should be celebrated, to bring those forward to Council. And the next Place Names Committee will be with the new Council, but it might be they actually put those in through the Name a Place campaign, Remember a Local Name a Place campaign, or it might be just emailing them straight away into Council. Because it is a great way of recognising those who've contributed to our communities in the past. And I certainly encourage people to do that. Thank you, Mayor.
Most certainly. Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Item 12.2, Lansdowne Street and Macarthur Street roundabout sale. Someone to move that, please.
I'm happy to move, Mayor.
Sorry, Mayor, I'm happy to move that.
Sorry, Councillor.
Sorry,
You
Mr.
disappeared. Go ahead, Councillor Tatterson.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I was just about to plug my computer in because it started to go flat. So, Mayor, I move that the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender contract 2025-015 evaluation report for Lansdowne Street and Macarthur Street roundabout sale, and note that the information contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-015 evaluation report for Lansdowne Street and Macarthur Street sale was designated as confidential by the General Manager of Built and Natural Environment on the 19th of August 2024 because it contains confidential information as defined in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020. G2, private commercial information being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public.
And seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to Councillor Tatterson, I'd like to announce the successful tender as Cranes Asphalting and Bitumen Sealing Pty Limited. Congratulations. Go ahead, Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This particular roundabout has been a long time coming, and I congratulate the staff on the ongoing work to ensure the successful funding of a roundabout at Macarthur and Lansdowne Street. The intersection has a number of traffic accidents, and hopefully a roundabout will improve traffic flow and reduce the risk associated with people crossing two major intersections. So it's a great outcome, and well done to our staff, and we certainly look forward to the improved roundabout, safer pedestrian access and improved lighting at this intersection. So well done.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Item 12.3, Heyfield Seaton Road reconstruction works in Seaton. Someone to move that, please.
Mayor.
Councillor Ripper.
I'd like to move 1, that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-008. Evaluation report for Heyfield Seaton Road reconstruction works, Seaton, and 2. Note that the information contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-008 evaluation report for Heyfield Seaton Road works, Seaton, was designated confidential by the General Manager Build and Natural Environment on the 19th of August 2024 because it contains confidential information as defined in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020. G2, private commercial information being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to Councillor Ripper, I'd like to announce the successful tender is Bensdale Road Services Pty Limited. Congratulations. Go ahead, Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Background is that the Heyfield Seaton Road pavement is failing in multiple locations and is beyond maintenance intervention. The works under the contract involve the reconstruction and widening of the road between Huggs Lane and Bowman's Lane. Specifically, the road is to be reconstructed and widened from the existing 4 metre seal to a new full width of 6.2 metre for a total of 3.26 kilometres. Accordingly, a tender was advertised for these works, which has been evaluated, and the contract is now prepared and has been given. So I'm sure that those that traverse that road, I know that road, used to live sort of near there years ago, they will be very happy, and it will make it safer and better for all those involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Item 12.4, Sale-Toongabbie Road Reconstruction Stage 3, Kilmany. Someone to move that, please.
Mayor,
Councillor Ripper.
onto the roads.
Keep going with the roads, Councillor Ripper.
Roads. I'd like to move 1, adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential tender contract 2025-025. Evaluation report for Sale-Toongabbie Road Reconstruction Stage 3, Kilmany, and 2. Note that the information contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-025 evaluation report of the Sale-Toongabbie Road Reconstruction Stage 3, Kilmany, was designated confidential by the General Manager, Natural Environment on 19th of August because it contains confidential information as defined in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020. G2, private commercial information being provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tender can be made public.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to Councillor Ripper, I can announce the successful tender is Bensdale Road Services Pty Limited. Congratulations. Councillor Ripper.
Sections of the Sale-Toongabbie Road are failing in multiple locations, with the failures being beyond maintenance intervention. Several sections of this road have been reconstructed over the past 3 years, and the works under the contract involve the reconstruction's widening of a 2.8 kilometre section of the road between the Macarthur, Rosedale Road and the Princes Highway. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Item 12.5, Sale-Cowwarr Road Reconstruction Works Stage 2, Nambrok. Someone to move that, please. You're on a roll, Councillor.
I'm on a roll. I feel as though I'm on a roller. Okay. I'd like to move 1, adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential attachment tender, contract 2025-007 evaluation report for the Sale-Cowwarr Road reconstruction. I will take paragraph 2 as read.
And Councillor Marr has quite kindly seconded that. So is there anyone opposed? If not, that motion is carried, and I'd like to announce the successful tender is Cranes Asphalting and Bitumen Sealing Pty Limited. Congratulations to Cranes. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. The Sale-Cowwarr Road, once again, is beginning to fail in several locations, and in these locations is beyond maintenance intervention. The works under the contract involve the reconstruction and widening of the road in 2 locations for a length of 2.2 kilometres in the Denison area. The works involved reconstructing and sealing the pavement to a width of 6.2 metres. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. Item 12.6, Duke Street Reconstruction Works in Yarram. Someone to move that, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that. So I'll move that Council 1 adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-022 evaluation report for Duke Street Reconstruction Works, Yarram, and point 2, the move taken as set out in the agenda, Mayor.
And seconded by? Don't all jump up. I'll go to Councillor Wood this time, just in front of Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to Councillor Stevens, I'd like to announce the successful tender is Cranes Asphalting and Bitumen Sealing Pty Limited. Congratulations. Go ahead, Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Look, I'd like to thank the council staff for their work on this project. Unfortunately, when it was previously put before council, the tender costs were in excess of the actual budget at the time, and so the council resolved not to proceed with this work. Look, the local residents will be very happy to see Duke Street reconstructed and Footpath put in, because it is heavily trafficked by, particularly by students from the Yarram Secondary College. And I'm excited, Mayor, about this project. This is a great project to see proceeding. It is for the section between Commercial Road or South Gippsland Highway and Campbell Street. And I'm advised that the balance of the work between Campbell Street and Grouse Street will be a contract for the next financial year. So thank you again to the staff, and this is a great outcome for the community, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. I love excitement amongst the councillors.
Especially on roads.
Especially on roads. Item 12.7, Unsealed Road Reconstruction Works, Eastern and Urban Areas. Someone to move that, please.
Thank you,
Councillor
Mayor.
McKenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move that 1, Council adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-009 evaluation report for Unsealed Road Reconstruction, Eastern and Urban Areas, and point 2 as read.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. And before I go back to Councillor McKenzie, I'd like to announce the successful tender is Whelan's Group Investments Pty Limited. Congratulations to Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. This contract will do the works under this. Sorry, the works on this contract will include Jones Street, Maxfields Road, Lacey Street, Chinaman's Lane, Dargo Street, Government Road in Sale, and Woodingatta Road, Crooked River. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKenzie. Item 12.8, Unsealed Road Reconstruction Southern Maintenance Area. Someone to move that, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor McKenzie.
I wish to move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-011 evaluation report for Unsealed Road reconstruction works at Southern Maintenance Area, and point 2 as read.
And seconded by?
I'll
Councillor
move second.
Rossetti. Sorry, online, who was that? Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, I got missed out, Mayor.
Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. And before I go back to Councillor Mackenzie, I'd like to announce the successful tender is Macarthur Earth Moving Pty Limited. Congratulations. Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. The works under this contract include Greenmount and Morris's Road in Yarram, Morrison Street Road, Gormandale, and Coxsedges Road, Ronron. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Item 12.9, bitumen resealing of local roads 24 to 27. Someone to move that, please.
I'd like to move that, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential attachment tender contract 2025-001 evaluation report for bituminous resealing of local roads annual reseal program 2024 to 2027 and item 2 as in the report.
And seconded by? Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to Councillor Tatterson, I'd like to announce the successful tender is Cranes Asphalting and Bitumen Sealing Pty Limited. Congratulations. Go ahead, Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I note that the expenditure on this project is probably one of our largest undertakings in our reseals program, but our reseals are very important to ensuring the integrity of our road network. So if we can keep our seals up to date and we stop the water penetrating into the roads will be able to carry the traffic. So it's a really important part of the business because we're then able to maintain our road network. Without resealing these, our roads would fairly quickly fall into disrepair. So well done for the staff on putting forward such an extensive network of roads, and we look forward to seeing these reseals occur over the coming months.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Unlike the state government, we like to reseal our roads each year with a bit of funding. Item 12, and look after our other roads as well. Item 12.10, Golden Beach Shoreline Footpath Works. Someone to move that, please.
Thank you,
Councillor
Mayor.
Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to move 1, that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the confidential attachment tender for contract 2025-016 evaluation report for Golden Beach four-line footpath works, and point 2 as read.
And seconded by?
I'll second that, Mayor.
I think Councillor Marr beat you by a whisker on that one.
Okay.
Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Before I go back to Councillor Mackenzie, I can announce the successful tender is Gippsland Gas and Water Pty Limited. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. It's great to finally get from roads to footpaths. The contract for this works includes the construction of 2 kilometres of footpaths along Foreshore Drive in Golden Beach. And as the contractor specified, the works will be commenced by mid-September, and they've indicated that they will complete the works on time. And once again, as per my other councillors, I'd like to thank the Build Environment team for getting a number of these contracts up and running, and it's going to be great for the community to have good roads and good footpaths. Thank you very much.
Well said, Councillor Mackenzie. Item 13.1, Consultant Engagement to Review Community and Sporting Infrastructure Planning. Someone to move that, please.
Yes, I'm happy to do that,
Councillor
Mayor.
Stevens.
I'd like to move the council note that a professional consultant will be engaged to further develop and enhance council's existing community facilities, planning documents and practices.
And seconded by? Councillor Wood. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Go ahead, Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. There's been
Sorry, Mayor.
Sorry, Councillor Tatterson, go ahead.
I'd like to oppose that motion. I put my hand up. So
Sorry, Councillor Tatterson, I missed that. I apologise.
Thank you.
In that case, go ahead, Councillor Stevens.
Oh, okay. Just like to note that there's been budget allowed for the appointment of this consultant in the current financial year's budget, Mayor, and as listed in the background information, there are a number of community facilities.
Just 1 second, Councillor Stevens. Sorry, I didn't get a seconder for. Sorry, Councillor Wood. Sorry, I have. So I apologise. Continue.
Okay. So there's a number of strategies that we need to review in the current financial year. Some of them are sort of statutory requirements, and so this consultant is going to help us basically sort out what we need to do going forward for the next up to 4 years. And so I commend this program to the council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Wood, would you like to reserve your right to speak, or would you like to speak on that now? Yep, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you. Yeah, just hold on. Yes, I'm on microphone. Just, I guess my position on this, in April, these works were put to council and they were defeated 6-3, and my position had been to seek a full review of community recreation and cultural facilities, which would include reviewing the management, the capital planning, capital funding, operational funding of rec and cultural facilities. So that's been my position, and that remains my position for now. While this is a step forward to start reviewing some of the things, I fundamentally believe we should do a full review. So that's why I'm opposing that motion.
Is there anyone else to oppose or for the motion that would like to speak? No? If not, I'll put that motion... Oh, sorry, Councillor Stevens, would you like to close?
Yeah, just very briefly, Mayor. Look, I would hope, I know we've had some ongoing discussion about this whole matter and all these various strategies that we have. Look, I would hope that the outcome of this consultant's review and an update of all these plans would in fact give effect to a lot of the issues that Councillor Tatterson is talking about, and that we would be in a better position to look at how all our facilities work. And it's also, I believe, linked to the previous notice of motion from Councillor McKenzie, because of, we are supporting a lot of Crown Land reserves, particularly hall committees, as part of all these strategies. So I would just believe that we would get a good outcome from this whole process. That's the new council would get a good outcome. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. So I'll put that motion to the vote. Those in favour of the motion? Those against?
That's me, Mayor.
Yep. Motion is passed. Thank you, councillors. Item 13.2, Community Assistance Grants July 24 round. Someone to move that, please.
Yeah, before you do that, Mayor.
Sorry, before we do that, do we have any conflicts?
Yes, I do. I have a conflict of interest, Mayor, and so I will leave the meeting, and if someone could just maybe text me
I'll text
when
you,
the...
Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Mr CEO. So I will now leave the meeting. Hang on.
We'll just wait for Councillor Stevens to exit the meeting. So someone to move that. Councillor Marr.
I move that Council 1 approve the allocation of community assistance grants for the July 2024 round as detailed in the confidential attachment 13.2.2, Community Assistance Grants July 2024 recommendations, with applicants being notified of the outcome of their applications. And 2, I'll take that as read.
And seconded by Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. Community grants certainly highlight Council's commitment to supporting community organisations to deliver activities, projects and events for the benefit of the community. The total budget for 24-25, community assistance grants as well as the quick response grants is a total of $382,000, and this round sees 23 applications that have been recommended, with the total of cost at being $126,661.02. And I'd just like to say thank you to Council for their continued support with regard to community grants and the quick response grants, because it's certainly an important part of what we do. And I'd like to congratulate all of the successful applicants who will be duly notified. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Now, we'll just wait for Councillor Stevens to rejoin the meeting. Thank you, Mr CEO. Hopefully technology works well.
I'm back.
It has worked well. Welcome back, Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Mayor.
Item 13.3, Outdoor Pool Model Review. Someone to move that, please.
I'd like to move that.
Councillor Marr.
I move that Council 1 approve a new outdoor pools operating model at Heyfield, Macarthur, Sale and Stratford Outdoor Pools for the coming 2024-25 season, which includes the following changes. A summer season length of 15 weeks with an adjusted commencement date of 13 December 2024 and conclusion date of 30th of March 2025, acknowledging feedback from the community regarding the preference for a later season. B, guaranteed opening hours every day throughout the summer season, regardless of temperature. C, maintain a reduced 24 degrees Celsius temperature trigger for extended hours. And D, in addition to the daily guaranteed hours, lap swimming will be maintained every Monday, Wednesday and Friday mornings at the Macarthur Pool. 2, authorise an additional $30,000 of operating budget to enable the recommended changes and additional hours of operation. 3, in recognition of the ongoing low patronage levels, I'd like to make a small amendment, if I may, to this. A trial free Friday entry, reduced 10-week season, December to February at Rosedale Outdoor Pool. And I'd also like to add an amendment and free entry Friday for all other pools, including Sale. And 4, approve the newly developed bespoke operating model for the Yarram Pool as advised through the Yarram Pool User Group Committee, which includes the following changes. A summer season length of 19 weeks with a commencement date of 25 November 2024 through to the 6th of April 2025. The removal of the temperature trigger operating model. C, opening days of Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday only during the off-peak season and every day during peak season, school holidays. And D, amended opening hours to allow the removal of the temperature trigger.
Just before we go further, if I could just get our Katie to adjust what was suggested for item 3 so we can see that.
Can I call a point of order, Mr Mayor? I believe that's a substantive change to change that from dealing with just the Rosedale pool to dealing with all pools having free Fridays.
Just one moment till we change that first. Yeah, we'll just change this first, and then I'll address your comment, Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you.
Yep, I can reread it. Trial a free entry Friday, or free Friday entry. And then it reads reduced 10-week season at Rosedale Outdoor Pool and free entry Friday for all other pools, including Sale.
Outdoor pools.
So it's a free Friday to Rosedale.
They're already free the whole season. So just to qualify what Councillor Marr has put forward there, it means that we already have in the motion free pool at Rosedale, but the other outdoor pools across Wellington Shire would have a free Friday during the season to accommodate what we're doing at Rosedale for the communities.
So can I just, is that one free Friday?
Free Friday.
So we'll just get the words, if I can just suggest, Mayor, we'll just get the words right and then we can deal with motions. So from Councillor Marr. So Councillor Marr, just checking those words for you up there, just make sure we're...
Free Friday, and, where'd it go?
So point 3
yep,
is the one.
trial a free Friday entry, reduced 10-week season, and free Friday entry for all outdoor pools.
Can 3 not be, the number 3 not be lined through?
That was what was there. This is the proposed.
If we can make that change.
Well, we need to add 3 into it then.
Yes.
There we go. Oh, almost.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, so that is the proposed from Councillor Marr. Go ahead, Councillor Tatterson. Can I have firstly, can I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Rossetti. Now, Councillor Tatterson, if you go ahead.
Just on the point of order, what is the motion? I can't see it on my screen at the moment. The item 3, if you could please.
Apologies, Councillor Tassin. I'll read it. It's exactly as the notice of motion was, excuse me, in the agenda papers. But item 3 now reads, in recognition of the ongoing low patronage levels, trial a free Friday entry, reduced 10-week season at Rosedale Outdoor Pool, and free entry Friday for all outdoor pools. So
does that, sorry, pardon me for my, does that mean we're looking at every Friday being free or just one free Friday?
Yes, that would be correct.
Every Friday?
Yeah, so every Friday at the other pools, Councillor Tatterson.
Yeah, well, my point of order would be this is a substantive change and has got nothing to do with the Rosedale pool and should be put to a separate council meeting.
do with this point of order first, Councillor Marr, and then so it's your decision. It's basically.
To my view, it's incorporating a report on all of the pools that is being put to us. Yes, it is an amendment by Councillor Marr to offer the other outdoor pools a free day during the season, which is every Friday of the season. And I don't see a big change with that for what is proposed.
Yeah.
So I'm allowing that to go forward for councillors to potentially take the motion. Microphone, please, Councillor Ripper.
Because, can you make that smaller? I cannot read. Can I come around and read it there?
Most certainly, Councillor Ripper.
Well, Glenn, can we increase the text size on that, Katie, to 1.3?
No, it's not. So you've got the recognition of So the way I look at it.
Can we go back to your microphone, please, Councillor Ripper?
And while Councillor was doing that, could I suggest we might take a photo of the change and send it by text to Councillor Tatterson and Stevens if they can't read it well on the screen? Just of that one change to 3.
Can you read that and understand the changes, councillors, on the screen? Councillor Patterson, no?
No, we can't see the screen at all.
I'm reading that you've got a free Friday. You don't have the first 2 sentences that have been lined out, which was trial free entry reduced to 10 weeks in recognition of the ongoing low patronage levels, trial free Friday entry reduced 10-week season at Rosedale and free entry Friday. So you've gone back to just one Friday is your free day.
And that's your intention, Councillor Marr?
Yes, that was my intention, to open Rosedale up on a Friday as free entry, and all pools free entry. That brings them all in line, as opposed to the Rosedale community having free entry
5
all
days
season.
or whatever. So everyone, if I may, Mayor, so my interpretation, correct me if I'm wrong please, because I can't quite read, that the motion in paragraph 3 is all pools, there's 4 pools, and 5 pools we're talking about that we've mentioned in this, are all going to have a free Friday. Now Rosedale will have to pay for the other days, correct?
Just to clarify, did you want all pools to be treated the same, Councillor Marr, or was Rosedale, as per the original motion, still free each time? What was your intent?
No, it was to have Rosedale outdoor pool free on a Friday only.
Friday only. So
Only.
that then,
And then that brings in line all of the other pools to have a free Friday as well.
in which case that's correct. Yeah. So Rosedale will be charged on all days other than Friday, like all other outdoor pools, which is what this motion has been changed to. Would you like that sent to you, Councillor Tatterson and Councillor Stevens, just for clarity?
No, I'm happy, Mayor. I'm happy, Mr CEO.
Councillor Tatterson?
All right. Yeah. Look, I understand where you're at, but I think it's a pretty substantive change to look at all our pools having free Friday. But if the mayor's happy with that, I understand that. So, given that, Mayor, I would like to move an amendment to the motion.
Oh, good.
Go ahead, Councillor Tatterson.
I move that items 1, 3 and 4 of 13.3 outdoor pools model review be treated as separate motions and be debated individually.
Do we have a seconder for that amendment? No, Councillor Tatterson, that won't be accepted. We don't have a seconder for what you're proposing. So it's lapsed. So back to our original motion that is on the screen. Do we have a seconder? Second by Councillor Mackenzie.
No,
Sorry,
seconded.
all right, we've done that. Councillor Rossetti.
Rossetti.
Is that motion?
Yeah, I wanted to have some comments about it.
You'd like to have some comments?
Yeah, just as, I mean, my concern is that
We've got a live motion, so we need to... Anyone oppose that motion?
I suppose.
Yep, I'll oppose that motion.
Okay. So we've got Councillor Mackenzie and Tatterson. So now we're in debate. So we'll go forward with Councillor Marr.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. As a consequence of an end-of-season review and discussion in February 2024, a review was requested by Council with an idea to recalibrate the existing operating model if required and to ensure that the model was brought in line with existing industry standards and community needs. The outdoor model has certainly considered the current seasonal operating hours and benchmarking to other shires, financial and attendance data, which has been crucial, community survey and overview. We've had 521 responses with 95.4% of facility users who responded to that survey. The methodology used for review and development of the model options, as well as challenges that have been taken into account. And the biggest challenge that we do face as a shire is that we hold one of the largest pool portfolios in Victoria with a number of, we have 6 pools in total. However, it's important to note that this review has not taken into account the Aqua Energy indoor pool. As an outcome of the information and the community survey, the recurring themes that were brought forward for consideration were guaranteed pool hours, the lower temperature trigger, which it currently is 25 and it's been recommended to be moved to 24 degrees, adjustment of the season dates to suit a later summer season as we are currently experiencing with climate change, additional events and development of diverse programs. The motion has put forward each of these considerations for Maffra, Stratford, Heyfield and the Sale outdoor pools. However, that does come at a cost, and that is where the $30,000 of operating budget comes in. And it's also important to know that we need to acknowledge that 49% of the outdoor pool operating costs are addressing maintenance and utility costs, and we all certainly know what that's like from a personal level. And with regard to the Yarram community petition that was received earlier this year and Council's response to that petition in March, that petition, that council's response acknowledged that the Yarram pool was indeed unique. It had unique infrastructure, and council committed to explore opportunities as well as reinstate the Yarram Pool User Group Committee, which they have done, and that group has met a number of times, providing they have discussed challenges and the opportunities, with feedback also aligning with the wider community survey that has been undertaken. Given the significant community and council investment in the Warmer Pool for Yarram project, what the bespoke model certainly does is maximise the operational hours, ensuring that the facility delivers a higher return on the investment by serving more community members without incurring disproportionately higher operational costs, as there are no additional costs with this bespoke timetable. The lower cost model suggests that extending Yarram's opening hours can be achieved sustainably, and it may in fact act as a blueprint for with our operational efficiencies with our other pools into the future. But we won't know that unless we give this a go. So as councillors, we need to listen to our community, and this is what we are doing, and the timetables that have been brought forward with the changes, I think, allow us to do that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Councillor Rossetti, would you like to reserve your right? We'll go back. I think Councillor McKenzie, you were first.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to note that 2 weeks ago we got a presentation from the Acknowledgement Energy Manager, Ross McWhirter, and he put forward a number of requests and recommendations, which in principle are there. It also notes that the extra opening hours will be a cost of $30,000. I think it's unreasonable for council and councillors to receive an amendment and on the 11th hour, literally on a Monday before a Tuesday meeting, to know there's going to be an amendment to this when we sat there on 2 weeks ago and went through this process and agreed to these changes. I think point 3 should be certainly taken off this at this point in time and discussed at a further meeting, a further workshop, and can be approved at a later date. Because if we just look at that one day and we look at the cost of just 2 lifeguards to be at every pool facility on a free day, Ross mentioned that it's $100 per hour. So if we have 2 lifeguards, that's $1,600 per day. If we do it by 6 pools, that's $9,600 for the day. And if we do it by 15 weeks, that's $144,000 of cost it's going to do for this free day. Yes, okay, we're not going to get $44,000 back in revenue, but there would be some revenue in replacement of this. So I think that we are not transparent at this point. We aren't showing the real cost of what that extra day is going to cost council and therefore the ratepayers. And I think we need to be transparent, so we need to have that taken off and looked at and then put back with what the costs are going to be for that free day, so our community are aware and know what those costs will be. But at this point in time, we don't know what those costs are, and while the proposal of a free day is certainly considered, I think we need to have the cost of what that free day is going to be before we go down that track, so that we have it on notice for the community. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak for before I go to Councillor Tatterson? No, Councillor Tatterson. Oh, sorry, Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, look, Mayor, I'm happy to support the recommendation. I mean, we've had long discussion about this. We've had our petition, we've had the working group, and I know that our service levels are not set in concrete. I know that when years gone by, we had longer hours at various pools. I'm happy for us to trial these service levels and request the new council to have a close look at what the outcomes are at the end of the swimming pool season. So I'm supportive of the motion as amended, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. The main reason I would have liked to see these some of these points debated individually is because I believe they are reasonably should be treated as separate motions. Anyway, happy to move on with that. On item 1, with the Heyfield, Maffra, Sale and Stratford pools, I'm happy with the recommendation about the opening hours every day in the summer season and having those guaranteed hours reinstated, which is certainly what we used to have. But having a 15-week season starting on the 13th of December for summer season pools that don't open at the start of the summer, I believe these pools should all open on the 25th of November. Now, if we wish to have data about the start of the season or the end of the season, the best way to do that would be operate over the 18-week season and then have a look at the level of attendance, because I'm sure you'll get a lot higher attendance in the first 3 weeks than what the last 3 weeks are. So while I'm happy with the first part, item 1, I would prefer that to be the 25th of November or the last weekend in November instead of halfway through December. As far as the budget's concerned, I think when you look at just what you've done in the amendment to the motion to have some free Fridays, who knows what that does to the budget. So whether the CEO approves the 30,000 additional or not, who knows where that will end up. The Rosedale pool, I'm happy with the motion as it goes. The last one, I guess, is the Yarram pool is now being treated as special or at a higher level than certainly the Maffra pool. So for 28 years or something of Wellington Shire, the first 28 years, the Maffra and Yarram pool had the same operating hours. And now we see that because of some community angst and the community coming forward, which I congratulate them on their efforts, they've been given a higher level of access to their swimming pool than what certainly the Maffra pool have. So those in the past, the early morning swimming, the longer days have been provided at Sale, Yarram and Maffra. And now Yarram are getting significantly longer hours than what the Maffra pool is. So it does indicate we've had some ad hoc planning when the Sea Leisure report was done to just look at the Yarram pool, because the same things could be found around the Maffra pool particularly. Certainly Yarram, from last year's information from what was provided by the manager, had a lower level of use last season, even with their extended hours, and lower levels of attendance than what the Maffra and Stratford pool had. So for Stratford to actually achieve higher levels with significantly lower hours doesn't seem fair that we're making this decision that pushes Stratford back. Most of our rural outdoor pools are used by either school students or young families, and these are guys that haven't got the capacity to go and attend the regional aquatic complex, so they walk down to the local pool. So whether you're in Yarram or Maffra or Stratford, you haven't got public transport, or Heyfield, you haven't got the public transport or the access, kids coming home from school and wanting to access their pool. So for me, I think it's a very poor outcome for Heyfield, Maffra and Stratford pools, the recommendation as it stands. So that's why I'll be voting against it.
Before I go to Councillor Rossetti or Councillor Marr, is there anyone else who wants to speak for or against? No? In that case, I'll hand it back to Councillor Rossetti.
Well, I'm just going to speak for because I don't get any right to sum up. But thank you, Mayor. It is true that we've got a challenge with the number of pools we have here. We've got 6 pools in the outdoor pools in Wellington Shire compared to 2 in Latrobe, 2 in East Gippsland, 4 in Baw Baw and 4 in South Gippsland. And I fully support that. We've got a very large shire, and certainly if we compare ourselves to East Gippsland, they've got a few more swimming holes than we have. But it does show the challenges we have that, of running these pools. And I think we need to think, well, certainly budget is an important consideration, and I believe that Councillor Marr can address that in her summing up. But I do appreciate that this option actually does treat equally the swimming pools. It's fair to say that Yarram has a different service standard, but they've also chosen that the community committee that we've developed down there, who've been having considerable input into the process, have actually approved the 2 days closing per week, I recall it was, it's up in there, in exchange for the different service levels. So it's a quid pro quo. But we have to think of what's the purpose of swimming pools in the first place. Why do we fund swimming pools? We know that someone walking in at the Rosedale pool costs us a lot more per person than the person walking at Sale. And that's simply the number of people living there and the population and the fact that we've still got to have to get lifeguards standing there. But I support having these sort of facilities right through the Shire because it's a long travel for anyone to come in. But the purpose is for recreation. We want to make our communities livable. We want to have facilities that are recreational facilities that are fit for purpose for people to maintain a healthy lifestyle, to be able to teach their kids to swim, to socialise and hang out when you're a youngster. I don't think they call it that anymore, but that's what we used to call it. But they make our whole community healthier and both mentally and physically. And we have to have these facilities all around. To be honest, if it cost us a little bit more and we got a whole lot more people using them, that'd be a great outcome. It's kind of like why we build roads. We don't make money out of roads, but we build roads and we invest in them because they have other outcomes for our community. It might be a business down there, it might be a whole lot of residents down there, it might be getting them to other locations. But we spend money on a lot of these things, but the question is whether it's the best value. And so here, this trial, I think it'd be really interesting to see, is a barrier to entry the fact that people have to pull some bucks out of their pocket to go in? And if it is, if we reduce it, how many more people use it? And then the next council can look at it and say, hey, it's actually worth us spending that bit much more of the budget to get these outcomes for our community. Or it might be there's no difference. There may not be no elasticity of supply. I seem to recall, I think it might be the wrong way around, and that my economics lecturer might hit me. But the point being, we won't know until we trial it. And I think this is a great trial. It's not going to be huge dollars involved, but it will give that information straight back to the next council to say, is it worth doing this? Because it could be something you say, great, let's make them all free. We've got, what is it, $12 fares to Melbourne now in V-Line. Way more people using it. Why is that good? Well, it's taking people off the roads, and the roads cost a hell of a lot, and they're getting congested, and they don't have enough lanes. This is kind of the same sort of thing. Is there another outcome we can get out of reducing or removing the cost of people attending? And if we find it results in a whole lot more people, fantastic. If it doesn't, well, it's a trial and go back to the old system. Thank you.
Rodi. Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to just quickly address the issues that have been raised with regard to the budget. And initially in paragraph 3, we were looking at opening free entry to Rosedale residents. And so that was budgeted for. However, changing it, that budget is still there, and we're opening it to a free Friday entry and charging our Rosedale residents for use during the week and weekends. But we're actually bringing that in line with all of our other pools to allow them to have a free Friday swim. Now, it's my understanding that a large part of our budget does come from the schools that utilise our pools throughout the season in undertaking swim lessons, and there are other users that also do contribute to the running costs of our pools. So it is, I am not envisaging that this will be any great change to the budget as it currently stands. And we also are mindful that there are many families that also have memberships as well. So I actually think that without attempting to do something different, then we will never know. And I think that this is a really positive outcome for our community. We have adjusted, we've listened to what they've actually asked for, with an adjusted season length, guaranteed opening hours, the budget allocation approval, and a bespoke Yarram pool model that is certainly within the budget allocation. And I stress and point out that the $30,000 that is allocated here does not go towards the Yarram pool season, even though it has been extended with 19 weeks. The community has actually agreed to have their pool closed on the off-peak for 3 days of that time. So Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday, the pool won't be operating. So that is certainly something that the Yarram community were very passionate about in having greater use of their pool, but when they discussed the opportunities and the challenges, then that was certainly discussed and agreed to. And at the moment, this is a trial that we will certainly be looking at. I'm sure the new council will be very interested next year when the outcomes and the data are reviewed, and we will be able to see whether there has been any progress or merit in making change. But without thinking outside of the box and having a go, we will never know. So I actually hope that our communities enjoy the 24-25 swim season, and I certainly look forward as a resident to find out how the feedback about that change. And I also want to point out that we have a changing environment that requires us to also be adaptive, and our summers are certainly starting later and they're ending later, and it's after the weather over the last couple of days, it's certainly a fact that climate change is upon us, and we also need to be adaptive to that as well. And I think this is going towards addressing that. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. So I'll put that amended motion to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? So, Councillor Tatterson, motion carried. Item 14, further gallery and online comments. Is there any online comments, Mr CEO?
None today, Mayor.
And is there anyone in the gallery that would like to address council? If you come forward and just state your name, and you have 3 minutes to address council. Just 1 second, if I could. We're right to go. Technology's on. Thank you, Kevin.
I just had a question. Sorry, Kevin Christensen. Just had a question on that last motion. The Free Friday, is that still the temperature trigger for that day, or is it open slather for anyone who wants to come along?
Yes, it would be trigger with temperature. There are set days, though, that the pools are open, regardless of the temperature triggers. But yes, if it is a day where it's a temperature trigger, yes, it would be closed pool because it's not open.
Thank you.
If it happened to fall.
And just to clarify, Mayor, that may help Mr Christensen, what we'll be doing now, based on that motion passing, is now we'll basically undertake a common strategy. We'll make it as simple as we can to all towns so that people can use those pools during the summer.
Thank you, Mr CEO. There's no one else in the gallery. We need to move into closed session.
Yes, certainly, Mayor. I move that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to Section 66 of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider 3 confidential items as defined by Section 3.1, being A, council business information, F, personal information, and G, private commercial information.
And seconded by Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried.